WHOW is Central Illinois' news, agriculture, and talk station.
WHOW is Central Illinois' ag station, and that includes providing farmers information on how the commodity markets close each day and week. I'm Todd Gleason from Illinois Public Media, University of Illinois Extension, inviting you to hear the daily closing market report weekday afternoons at 5:06, and on Saturdays, tune in for Commodity Week with a review of the week's markets at 8:30 in the morning, all on WHOW, AM, FM, and streamed online.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom, I should say, is Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools. Good morning, Dr. Weidner. How you doing today?
Good morning, Seth. It's a beautiful day in Cerro Gordo. How are you?
I'm doing well. Beautiful day indeed. I know today, of course, is 9/11, and I was taking kids to school listening to just kind of the some of the radio stuff that was going on with that, and of course, remembering 25 years ago, and where everybody's where were you at, and remembering all of that, and I just remember it being a morning a lot like this. Very, very pleasant September day, and of course, about a quarter of the way through the school day, I remember all the TV images and the footage and everything starting to come in. And so what are you doing with your kids today, Dr. Weidner? Do you do anything special with kids for 9/11 to, teach them what happened that day?
Yeah. Seth, I was a second-year teacher on 9/11, and I remember being in my classroom and in the middle of a lesson of Honors U.S. History, and one of my colleagues came in and let me know what had happened. And we just stopped what we were doing and turned on the TV and watched it the entire rest of the day. And I think I watched the news constantly for the next couple weeks as much as I possibly could. So our teachers do a really good job here of covering this in age-appropriate ways. So we actually have a lot of different things going on today to teach our kids about it. I first should highlight that tonight, one of our social studies teachers, Jason Navratil, is the guest speaker at the Decatur 9/11 Memorial at Nelson Park at 6:15. So he'll be giving a speech there tonight. That's, I think, a really cool opportunity, and we're proud of him for doing that. Other things that we have going on in our PE classes from third grade all the way up through high school, they're doing a 9/11 stair challenge. So they'll actually have the whole PE class period to take as many steps on the stairs at the bleachers at the football field as they can. I think that's a pretty common, thing to do, that people do that workout to pay tribute. In our elementary school, we've got third graders who have been reading the I Survived 9/11. It's a fictional book, but it's age appropriate, and it kind of gives them some insight into that. Our fifth graders are doing a lesson on this very tree, and it's a story about a tree that was found at the World Trade Center site that, survived all the destruction and regrew. And so they do a lesson about that, and it's about resiliency kind of combined with the history of it. So that's really neat. And then even our French class incorporates it, and they have a really cool story of two French brothers who were doing a documentary with the fire department in New York on 9/11, and just happened to be there when the first plane hit. So they have video footage of that that they watch, and then they talk about it. So we kind of hit it in many different ways, and just really want to emphasize what that moment was like in our history. And then I think the thing that a lot of us, really miss is how the country came together afterwards, and that feeling of patriotism. And I remember going, I was at Rantoul at the time, and we had an assembly afterwards a couple days later on the football field and sang God Bless America. And every single person there was singing. There was no shyness or anything like that. That feeling of patriotism and being unified is different than anything I've experienced in my life, for sure.
Yeah. One thing I can't believe, Dr. Weidner, is one, that was 25 years ago, but a lot of kids in your school building weren't even alive when that happened, and for you and
Right.
I, the memory is vivid. Of course, it's one of those kind of watershed moments that's always,
Mhm.
like where were you at? What was your reaction? How did you feel, type of a thing? And yeah, it's hard to believe that there are kids in school now that have literally no memory of it. This
Yeah.
like I had a guest yesterday say, something happened and it may as well have been Vietnam. Like that's kind of
Mhm.
what it is for kids now.
Right. Yeah. It's hard for them to wrap their brains around what it was like and what it meant to us, and how scary it was. In the weeks after, we were afraid of anthrax attacks and all kinds of different things coming, in the wake of that. So it's definitely hard to really teach the kids, but we try to make sure that we honor the victims and kind of make sure that the kids understand how important it was in our history.
And then of course, trying to tread water to get back to normalcy, not and particularly up in that part of the country, but even in other areas, like just trying to figure out how do you return to normalcy in this time. For a lot of people, life went back to normal the next day, but
Mhm.
still, that just those images, that memory, just kind of stuck with you. So yeah, it's
Absolutely.
yeah, very, very good that you're kind of embarking on this with your kids and teaching them about it. So, how about older kids? Like high school age and those that group. What are you doing with them?
So, that's typically just covered in our social studies classes,
Okay.
and they can get into a little bit more of the detail of it and how, it led into the war on terror and really kind of changed the global landscape, still to this day.
Sure. Very good. Well, remembering 9/11 in Cerro Gordo with Superintendent Dr. Emily Weidner here on the morning show. And Dr. Weidner, I know that you recently received back your health life safety report. This is something every school board has to have done. Every school district has to have done. How about what your report had to say and what's in it?
Sure. Yeah, we just went through this process this summer. Basically, we have an architect and engineer. In our case, we work with BLDD, and they come out and walk the school buildings and they look for safety concerns, maybe code violations, things like that. And then they come up with a list of priority items. So, A items would be things that have to be corrected this school year. B items would be things that have to be corrected within 5 years. And then typically there are C items that are recommended but not required. In our case, we got back just A and B items. So for our A items, it's about $65,000 estimated worth of work, which, for a homeowner sounds like a lot. For a school, is not too terrible. So things like asbestos abatement in some storage areas that can be costly. Adding some safety exit lights in places that don't have them, or adding visual lights to fire alarms, things of that nature, and then some door repair and replacement, and then some miscellaneous things. So
I see.
we will have about $65,000 worth of work to do by May of this year. So we'll be planning for that very soon.
Okay.
And then for our B items, the things that we have 5 years to do, is about $375,000 worth of work to do. And part of that is things like tuck pointing. When you have brick buildings, you're always tuck pointing, and that can be kind of costly. So there are things of that nature that we are going to be planning for in the next 5 years. But the good part is that we have a special fund. School districts have a special health life safety fund where our, property tax dollars go specifically to that fund and can only be used for these purposes. So the financing of it, we'll have that money coming in through property taxes every year, and it's already earmarked for that. So we'll be looking at that, but we'll also be looking at continuing to improve and upgrade our facilities in other ways, not necessarily related to safety, but just making sure that we're continuing to improve and take good care of our buildings and our grounds.
What will some of those things be?
So this summer, we just finished ceilings and lights in the junior high school. So upgrading to LED lights and becoming a little bit more energy efficient. As you know, we have good facilities in Cerro Gordo. They've been updated recently and very well maintained. So some of the things that we'll be looking at will be like bathroom renovations. At the elementary school, we've got an annex over there where the restrooms are pretty outdated. Our locker rooms over at the high school could use a little updating. Our concession stand at our outdoor athletics facilities, our football and track area definitely needs an upgrade. So some projects like that we can kind of piece together over the next 5 years as well.
Gotcha. Very good. Very good. So you mentioned not too much in the way of costly projects in that health, life, safety report. That's got to be a sigh of relief for you.
Yes, definitely. I think the construction at the junior high school back in 2018 took care of a lot of the health, life, safety concerns. It just eliminated a lot of that. So we're in pretty good shape. We do have some work to do, but it's a very manageable list.
You talked about that health, life, safety tax that that brings money in for this these projects. How does that work? Like, do you levy? Are you able to levy a certain amount? Are you able to kind of know, hey, we're going to maybe have this coming up in for a project soon? We can levy a little more this year. You scale it back. Like, how does that work? I guess.
So that one is limited in terms of the levy. We get about $50,000 roughly that goes into Fund 90, which is that health, life, safety every year. But you could also do health, life, safety bonds if you needed to. So you take some debt in that area if it becomes necessary. So in our case, we should be able, with our fund balance in Fund 90 and then our revenue coming in, we should be able to chip away at that. And you're not required to fix everything using Fund 90, using those health, life, safety dollars. But since you can't use those for anything else, it makes sense to do that.
I see. Very good. Very good. Well, Dr. Weidner, anything else on that report or just facilities in general that we didn't touch on you want to put out there for us?
No, I think we're just really proud of our facilities here in Cerro Gordo and just really making an effort to continue to upgrade and continue to invest in our buildings and grounds.
Sounds great. Well, I'll tell you what, Dr. Weidner, let's break here. Come back with some more. Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, my guest on the Zoom. More to come with her on The Morning Show.
WHOW.
AgriTalk is the radio talk show for American agriculture. Hi, everybody. I'm Chip Flory, your host. We join you weekday mornings from 10 until 11 on WHOW, on AM and FM, and on the WHOW streams. We provide farmers and ranchers with timely insights and information aimed at improving their operations. Join me, Chip Flory, weekdays at 10:06 on Central Illinois Ag Station, WHOW.
Selection for a new Chevrolet is here at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. Yes, from the Corvettes to the Suburbans and everything to help your family or business, Chevrolet has value options for your needs. This month, see our Silverado trucks in 1500, 2500, and 3500s in gas or diesel. Our Silverados have big savings with more discounts if you trade yours in. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Here's Clinton Civil Auto owner Dave Jackson on how he monitors prices to help you save money.
I look and see what retail they are at, and I make that decision whether it is a key item or a mid-tier item as far as importance goes, and I make sure I'm either below or close. And in most cases, I try to go below.
Dave and his staff helps you save up to 40% on your grocery bill every day at your locally owned Clinton Save-A-Lot. And as Dave always says,
hope to see you soon.
Make this school year their strongest yet. Book your child's back to school or sports physical today at SIU Center for Family Medicine in Lincoln. Keep them healthy, focused, and ready for success. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Dr. Emily Weidner, superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, on the Zoom with us for today. And Dr. Weidner, you were telling me before you got started, kind of a lake thing coming together, but you have a new football co-op. What's going on here?
Yeah, well, we started in June, kind of looking at our football numbers and realizing that we were pretty low. We graduated a lot of seniors off the football team last year, so we started to become concerned about fielding a varsity team. We ended up sending an email to our high school students in June saying we need some more players, or we may not be able to have a varsity season, and we might have to look at having a JV season, which several area schools have had to do and been able to bounce back. So as of July, we knew we didn't have enough players for a varsity season. And we had reached out to area schools about the possibility of co-ops and couldn't find anybody who was kind of in the same boat as us and really needed to do that. And generally, schools don't want to co-op for sports unless they have to, because taking on additional schools means taking on the enrollment and, often moving up a class. So as of our July board meeting in mid-July, we were going forward with the plan to have a JV only season, but also knowing that even a JV season was at risk if we had some injuries and things like that, that it could still be difficult to field a JV team. So at the end of July, Arcola reached out to us, and they had kind of realized that they were in a similar situation. We had contacted them earlier in the summer, and they, weren't interested in a co-op at that time. But the last week of July, they kind of counted their numbers and realized they needed some additional players as well. So within a week, we had an agreement, and we had 3 special board meetings at Cerro Gordo-Bement and Arcola to get this approved. We had approval from the conference and got the paperwork in for the co-op really at the last minute. So I was really, really impressed with the administration and school boards in each of those districts to get this done so that the players at each of those schools could have a varsity season.
Yeah.
And so that was something that came together quickly that I think has been beneficial for the boys.
At least they get that time on the field for sure. For sure. What kind of logistics did that create then in making sure that this could happen for your kids?
So the big part was transportation. So our players and the Bement players are going down to Arcola for practice and games. Our home games are at Arcola, and then obviously we travel for the away games. But our football coach, Chris Ridgway, has been our head coach, and then Doug Henderson is one of our assistants. They've both gone down to Arcola. They've really been instrumental in making this work for us. So I really have to give them a lot of praise for their role in it. The head coach is from Arcola, so our coaches took on the assistant role, also have helped with transportation. And the really cool thing, I think, is that our community has really gotten behind pushing football and trying to get us back to 11-man. So there have been a lot of community members in the youth league who have stepped up to promote JFL. We've had volunteer coaches in that program who don't even have kids on the team. They're just community members who love football and want to see it come back. So that has been a really kind of unifying thing in the community to see everybody get behind bringing this program back whenever we have the numbers.
Well, and that's how you do it. You have to start down at the lower levels to develop the desire to play football at that age, and then they want to keep going through their junior high and on into high school. So yeah, that
absolutely.
Makes sense. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and we've seen some success at the JFL and increase in numbers. So we're hopeful for the future. I think if you look at a lot of school districts our size with our enrollment and Bement's enrollment, a lot of those schools are looking at 8-man, and a lot are struggling to keep an 11-man team. And I think they all want to, but it's getting more and more difficult.
Yep, it certainly is. Yeah, that it feels like that number of 8-man football continues to grow year after year. But hopefully, there's hope on the horizon for 11-man football in Cerro Gordo. How does that impact things like homecoming, Dr. Weidner?
Sure. Yeah. So we've been able to keep our homecoming traditions pretty much intact, which was, of course, something that was important to us and also to be met. So we'll have our homecoming is in 2 weeks. We'll have our spirit week like we usually do. Our parade will be Friday afternoon. We've got a big bonfire on Thursday night, kind of a pep rally that we have invited both Bement and Arcola to attend. And then we will have an away game, unfortunately, instead of a home game. So that's the big difference. Our boys will travel down to Cumberland that night. And then Saturday night will be our dance as usual. So we've tried to really maintain as much as we can in terms of homecoming.
Yeah.
But we do have to have an away game, unfortunately.
I was gonna say, do you get even if it's not homecoming, do you at least get a game in Cerro Gordo at all this year?
We hope to have a JV game on the 22nd. So with a small varsity, even with a 3-school co-op, we still have a small roster. So we're hoping to have that game on the 22nd if we have enough healthy players available to play it. So that would be our home game this season.
Very good. Very good. Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, our guest on the Zoom for today. Well, Dr. Weidner, a few minutes yet still here with you this morning. What else has been going on in your district? What's kept you busy lately?
You know what? We've had a very good start to the school year, and I'm superstitious, so I'm hesitant to say that. But it's just been a very positive start to the school year with our teachers and students. And, we've already made it through one sports season. It's hard to believe, but junior high softball just wrapped up. Our junior high baseball team starts their regionals tonight.
Wow.
We've had volleyball going on with one really cool thing we've added this year is a video board in the high school gym. So we added that along with shot clocks over the summer. And we've got some sponsors to advertise on the video board, and we've got hype videos and player introductions and things like that during our volleyball games. So we'll have that for basketball season as well. So that's been really neat.
Got to have those things, right?
Absolutely. The kids love it. The first volleyball hype video that we played, the girls just stopped their warm-ups and watched it. They were so excited to see themselves up there, and it was a really cool thing.
Very good. Very good. Well, Dr. Weidner, as we wrap up for this morning, what's the best way for folks to keep up with everything going on in Cerro Gordo schools? Are you on World Wide Web, social media? How do folks find you in all those places?
Our website is www.cgbroncos.org, and you can find us on Facebook at Cerro Gordo School District 100.
Very good. Dr. Weidner, always good to talk with you, and we'll continue chatting as the school year goes along. Thanks for making time for us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, my guest on the Zoom. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. We come up on the bottom of the hour. Network news comes your way next on the WHOW Morning Show.